Welcome to our daily Forex market analysis, and this is for trading on April the 29th, 2020. Just a quick disclaimer here before we get started. This is for educational purposes only. Trading is a risky business, so please be careful with your money. As usual, we'll start off by taking a look at our calendar here. In terms of the data here, we had mixed data here out of the US, positive data out of Eurozone there. Coming up, we have quarterly CPI numbers out of Australia here. We see that there is expectation of a drop here. However, Australian dollar has done quite well recently, so we'll see how this plays out. If the CPI numbers are a fair bit below expectations, so if there's a substantial difference, we can see a drop in it, or if they come in above expectations, that will definitely cause it to go up. Otherwise, I wouldn't expect too much of an impact from this. Coming up on Wednesday here, a very important day in terms of data. We have tons of data. So Monday and Tuesday have been relatively quiet in terms of the data, but now we are getting into some important data here. So to start off with, we have lots of data out of the Eurozone. In terms of critical data here, we have GDP or advanced GDP numbers out of the US. We also have pending home sales. And in the afternoon here, we have FOMC Fed statement, not expecting an interest rate cut here. They're already at 0.25% here. But the important thing will be the press conference here and what is said in the statement. So right now, Fed has basically put in a lot of stimulus. They have been purchasing a lot of securities in the market, and they are really going in for the unlimited amount of securities. So we'll see what else they have to say. So just keep that in mind there. And coming up in the Asian session, we have PMI numbers out of China. Not expecting a big drop here, just a slight decrease here. Now, if these numbers come in below expectations, that will be negative for Australian dollar and New Zealand dollar. And on that point, we are seeing a bit of basically a war of words, I would say, between Australia and China. China has threatened that if Australia, so basically Australia was asking for an inquiry into the coronavirus issue, how this came about to be and all of that. And China has said that if they don't back off, if they continue to ask for this inquiry, then China will not send their students and not allow tourists into Australia. And right now, education is a big part of Australian exports. So a lot of people come in from China to get their degrees in Australia. It's in billions of dollars, over 30 billion in terms of the amount of money that gets spent. So that could be problematic for Australia. So right now, Australia is not backing down. So we'll see how that plays out. US is also calling for this inquiry. And I think we've seen UK doing the same. So we'll see how this plays out. Right now, it's all words. So not really a big issue at this point, but do keep an eye on it because China is not happy about this at this point. And so we'll see what happens. US has threatened China with more I think it was fines or tariffs or something like that at this point. Like I said, it's not serious at this point, but should this become serious, it could cause problems. So just something in the background that we have to be mindful of at this point. So that's it in terms of the data. So let's go to our charts. As usual, we'll start off by taking a look at our euro dollar here. We have a very nice pin bar. Price went right into our second target that we had looked at. Now we have a big pin bar here. And in terms of our pullback, so bias is bearish here. Now, in terms of the pullback, I would look at 1.0850 for a potential pullback, and then looking for price to drop from there. So bias is bearish here, but I'm not looking for a deep pullback like we were looking for yesterday, just a shallower one. And the target here is 1.0770. And then below that, we are looking at 1.0720. So bearish bias for euro dollar. Pound dollar here, we did see price go into our target level like we talked about yesterday. And since then, it has dropped. So we have a doji here. This is also looking bearish. In terms of the pullback here, I would look at potential pullback into 1.2450 and then a drop here. First target is 1.2380. And below that, we're looking at 1.2300. So bias is bearish for pound dollar. Aussie dollar here, this one has done well, prices into our first target level here. So it's still looking bullish. Now it did back off a little, but looking bullish still. What I'm looking for here is a potential pullback into 0.6470, and then if it holds above, I'm looking for a further move to the upside here. So bullish bias for Aussie dollar. In terms of the targets here, first target is 0.6540 and then 0.6580. New Zealand dollar here. This one is interesting. This one is still. This one is looking bullish, but if it holds below the resistance level, so it hasn't been able to get through this resistance level in the last 2 days here. So if it fails to go through the resistance level at 6070, this right there, then chances are it is going to drop. But for now, though, we do have a bullish pin bar for the day, which means should it get through this resistance level, then we are likely to see a further move to the upside. So bullish bias here in terms of the target. The first target is 0.6090, or we can say 0.6100, and the next target is 0.6130. So bias is bullish, but like I said, if it doesn't get through today's high, it is very likely that we will see price come back towards the bottom of today's candle. So bias is bullish, but with caution for New Zealand dollar. Dollar CAD here, this one's looking bearish. We did see price break through the support level here, but now it's into the next level of support. So at this moment, this is still looking bearish. We do have to be mindful of this support level here at 1.3940. So what could happen is that price drops here. We see it come back into the support, and if it holds above, it can come back or it can go back up. So be mindful of that. But once it gets through the support level, next target here is 1.3875. So bias is bearish. First target 1.3940, second target 1.3875 for dollar CAD. Let's take a look at our silver here. This one's still looking neutral here. It hasn't really moved a whole lot. We see that price has been stuck within this range here between 15.50 and 15. So very, very small range at the moment here. So right now it is still looking neutral. We see that price went into the support, rejected that, and has pulled off of that level. Now it could go into the resistance and check out the resistance. I am neutral on this. This does not seem to have any sort of a direction at this point. So right now I'm just looking for a range-bound move. And once it gets through either the high or the low, then we will find a direction for this one. So for now, bias is neutral for silver. Gold here, gold dropped like we were expecting yesterday, and now since then it has gone back up. But this today as well, we saw that the price dropped and then it has pulled back, giving us a big rejection wick in the bottom. Based on the current price action here, it dropped and then it looks like it's pulling back. So the question would be, does it hold below 1708? If it holds below 1708, we could still get a drop back down towards 1690-ish level or 1692. So that will be the test here, this resistance at 1708. If it holds below, I am looking for a further drop. Now, should it go through though, then we are back into this range that it had been trading in. So in that case, I would look for a move back towards the top of the range once it's gone through the bottom. But right now, the bottom of the range may pose a problem, which means if it holds below, I would look for price to drop further. So right now, bias is neutral here for gold at the moment. And in terms of targets, I'm just going to leave the 1690 in place for the time being. And only if it gets through that, we're looking at 1680. So for now, neutral bias for gold. Oil here. Oil did drop initially back into our almost into the support level here. Now it has shown rejection of the bottom and looks like this one could go higher. So a neutral to slightly bullish bias here. I would look for a move back towards 17, and if it holds below, then looking for a further drop here. So kind of neutral here, not quite bullish at the moment. That's kind of what I'm looking at the moment, how I'm viewing it. Now, should it go to the 17 level, then we're looking at 19.20. So overall, though, it's still stuck in this range between 19.20 and this 1280 range at the moment. So bias is neutral here for oil. Copper here, we see that copper did try to go through the resistance level, but it has come back in. And the candle close here is looking like a bearish pin bar here. So bias is bearish. I will look for a pullback into 2.30. And if it holds below, then I'm looking for a drop back towards the support level. First target is 2.27. Second target, 2.25 here. So bearish bias for copper. Bitcoin is still stuck here in this range. It is trying to go through the resistance, not quite successful yet. So neutral bias here still. Overall, though, the bias is to the upside. We are seeing prices making higher lows here and higher highs. But for the time being, it seems to be stuck in this sideways range. So this is our resistance level here, and this is the support level. So for it to really make a move, we need to see a break either through the top of the range, in which case the next target is 81.20. But if it breaks through the support level here, then we're looking for the 7,400 level. So right now, neutral bias for Bitcoin. All right, equity markets here. Initially, we saw a move up, but they did close to the downside. So we have a bearish pin bar for S&P 500 here, which means we could see a drop. And in terms of a pullback, we could get a pullback into 2,900 here. And if it holds below that, then I'm looking for a drop like that. So for now, bias is bearish here. And first target here would be 28.20. And if it manages to get through that, we're looking at 27.65. So bearish bias for S&P 500. Nasdaq here, this one is in neutral. So it looks like on the close here, there was a bit of a movement. So it bounced higher. Let's take a quick peek here. So it looks like it closed down and then bounced up. It kind of gapped up here. So big drop here earlier in the day. So this is an inefficient move, just like this one here. These tend to get filled. So we do need to be careful with this one here. But it is bearish here. Overall, though, still stuck in a range, just like we have seen, just like we saw S&P 500 as well. So with this one, I don't like that it dropped so suddenly. And the question now would be, can it hold below, right? So if it holds below 8,800, I will look for a move lower. Otherwise, it can go back and it could do a retest of the high. So that's something we have to be careful with. So right now, bias is neutral for Nasdaq. I like the close on it, but I don't like that gap to the upside there. So just be mindful of that. Looking for a drop back down towards 8,600, but be careful because we may see a move back higher before it drops back. And then we have Dow Jones here. This one is a doji pin bar here as well. So looking for a drop. Bias is bearish. First target is 23,800. And then below that, we are looking at 23,320. So bias is bearish. In terms of a pullback, we could get a pullback all the way into 24,435. So do keep an eye on this resistance level here, and as long as it holds below, I'm looking for a drop here. So bearish bias for Dow Jones as well. DAX here, we have a pin bar for DAX as well, and this one, like we talked about yesterday, has been trading in a range. Price tried to break through the range, failed, and now we have a pin bar. So here basically I'm looking for a potential pullback into 10,835 and then looking for a move back down. First target would be the middle of the range here and then towards the bottom of the range. So first target here is 10,500 and then 10,200 here. So bearish bias for DAX. FTSE here, this one has closed right into our resistance level. Now we do have a bullish candle close. However, because it hasn't quite gone through the resistance yet, I am neutral on this, because if it holds below this level at 59.20, chances are it is going back down, potentially even towards the bottom of the range here. So neutral bias here, keep an eye on the resistance, and if it holds below 59.20 here, basically we could get a retest of the high, but looking for a move back down like this. So neutral bias here. And in terms of the target here, the first target is 5,800, and then we're looking at 5,630, but potentially even in the middle, 5,700. So neutral bias for FTSE. And then Nikkei here. Nikkei actually is looking bullish. We see that price has gone through. Now, part of the reason that Nikkei is bullish is because of the stimulus package that Bank of Japan has put together. They are also doing unlimited purchases of the debt here. So that is positive for the equities market here. Now, we do have a bullish candle close for this one here. So bias is bullish. I would be cautious with this one though. If price is not able to go through the high, chances are it can come back into the range, especially if other indices are doing the same. So bias here is bullish, but with extreme caution here. If it doesn't make through the high here of 20,120, then we're looking for a move back in. First target here is 19,600, which is the base of today's candle. So we have a bullish to neutral bias for Nikkei. So that's it for today. Keep an eye on the Fed tomorrow, and I will see you again tomorrow. Bye for now.